Hey guys, welcome back to Tap That AZ. I'm your host, Eric Walters. In this episode, I sit down with Chase and Kelly, two of the three owners from Adventurous Stills in Tempe. We talk about the benefits of the water in Tempe for making spirits, as well as the challenges they face trying to sell top shelf spirits. This is also a video episode. Big shout out to my man Aaron Marcus from 8 a.m. Films, who's making some awesome video content for this podcast. He's been great at helping build this brand and just a great teammate. So big shout out, Aaron Marcus, 8 a.m. Films. Follow him on Instagram at 8 a.m. Films. Let's tap into Adventurous Stills. All right, so I am in Tempe, Adventurous Stills. Guys,
Adventurous Stills, welcome.
Thanks for joining me. We've got Kelly and Chase, two of the three owners, right?
Yep.
Jeff
on vacation.
Jeff is in San Diego learning how to sail. Yeah.
How to sell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Becoming a seaman.
Oh, sail. I thought you said sell.
Oh, yeah. He's learned to sell.
Sell. Right.
We could use that too.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining me. This is awesome. Yeah.
Great.
We got a tour. We've got a lineup here. We won't get into that just yet, but I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, we have to wait till 11.
After
it is
11,
actually
it's okay.
11 o'clock. Right on the dot.
Dude,
Let's
let's
start
get
drinking.
started.
Yeah.
On to the vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, this is great. Why did you guys decide to make alcohol?
Well, that's an obvious question, right? Because we can.
Yeah.
Any answer needed?
Right. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, the story is, it's kind of a long one. I've been a home brewer for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
And, back in the 90s, we talked about starting a brewery, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And in my view, the brewing world has just gotten so popular. There's so many people doing beer.
Yeah.
That it just never made sense. But a few years back, we're kind of some adventurous guys who do a lot of hiking and scuba diving and mountaineering and canyoneering and whatnot. Kind of got in the habit of doing adventures and sitting around a campfire and drinking good booze afterward.
Yeah.
And one of those points, one of our partners, Steve, said, hey, we should make some rum. And we said, yeah, sure, Steve, whatever. Steve's one of these guys, super fun, always got a wild and crazy idea.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, sure, whatever. And the next time we saw him, he shows up with two of these Olympic pot stills he bought them on eBay, I think, for $300 or something like that.
Oh,
They're
wow.
beautiful. And that's it right there.
Oh, right over here that's sitting on the bar.
Yep.
Nice.
That was the first still. And,
Yeah.
probably don't write this down anywhere. Yeah. Because it's completely illegal to do any of the things that I'm suggesting.
But now we have a
May or
license,
may
so we're
not
good.
have done.
Right.
We're good.
We are licensed. They are licensed, yes.
So we might have made some rum at some point. And
Where it's legal. You guys are in Jamaica, right?
yeah,
yeah,
of course
right.
it wasn't.
On an
Wouldn't have been
island.
anybody's backyard or anything like that.
International waters.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was in a pool. It's international waters.
That's right. But we made some rum, and we had, I think, about 5 gallons of it. And what do 3 guys do with 5 gallons of rum? That's a lot of rum. We gave a lot of it away, and people were like, "Oh, this is great."
My favorite part is it was black, and you guys had to be like,
was very dark.
well, because it was something in the.
We overaged it. Yeah.
Is it the aging? I thought it was the water. I thought there was a mineral or something.
I think it was that we used a small barrel. We didn't really learn about barrels. Small barrels age much faster. We thought it would take 6 months or something like that. And after 3 weeks, we checked it, and it was black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember coming over, and they're like, "It's good to drink. We promise. There's nothing wrong with it.
far
It
as we
tastes
know."
good."
Yeah.
Yeah, they said you put it through like a 2-micron filter, and it
Yeah,
just
camping
filtered it
filter
out.
actually
Yeah,
filtered it out, and then it was pretty darn good after that.
Yeah.
So we learned something right away.
Yeah.
And,
Interesting.
so we gave a bunch of it away, and people said you should make some more, and we didn't want to make rum again, so we made a whiskey, and that came out also quite good. And at some point along the way, we just had this wild idea of let's make a business out of this.
Yeah.
So we opened in January of this year. So
Okay.
we've been open now for 9 months and a few days.
Well, you had your license
10 months and a
for
few
almost
days, sorry.
exactly a year.
Almost exactly a year. It was the 13th of January, kind of an inauspicious day. It was our January was the opening day.
Well, right, but we've had your distilling license.
That's true. Yeah, we got our distilling license in October of last year.
You need a timetable
What are we
on
talking
the
about?
wall.
Yeah.
To say, yeah. To
Are you
help
drunk, Kelly?
out.
Not yet.
We're getting there. We're gonna get there. Yeah. So this place, like the tasting room and everything's been open since January.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's well, I'm sure you hear this many, many times, but it's a labor of love. You put a huge amount of effort into converting a space and trying to get it set up the way you want to get our equipment in, and figure out how to actually make the equipment do something useful. And,
Yeah.
You spent all summer last year.
yeah, it was. Yeah, we spent all summer. Like I mentioned, spent a month inside the mash tun with an angle grinder and lots
In
of
the
other
summer?
unfun things. Yeah, it was brutal. It was
Jeez.
brutal.
With a swamp cooler.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
It was probably cooler inside with the than you were outside. It probably sheltered you from that.
Well, that's right. Yeah, even with the swamp cooler, it's 95 degrees in the back, which is
Yeah.
better than 114 or whatever
Yeah.
it might be. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of work, but we got something that works. And kind of when I mentioned when we were doing the tour, we put virtually everything together with our own sweat, blood, and tears.
That impressed me. Like what
the stills, the mash tun. Jeff put in all the wiring because he's an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
Jeff and Kelly have a background in they were both mechanics at one point in time.
Okay.
So they've got a lot of experience with their hands, which I appreciate because I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
I'm an aerospace engineer by day, but I couldn't do this.
Right.
Use my hands? What?
And a hammer? Like, yeah.
I'd love to learn. I want to. Next time we do a still, I'm definitely gonna help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Another guy to swing the hammer is a great idea.
Right. So yeah, I want to hear about that. Like, because I mean, everything back there was. I mean, not everything. You guys didn't, make that table, right?
Yeah, we didn't make the stainless table.
But no.
But you have to look around to find stuff we didn't make.
Right,
This
yeah.
the bar was made by Jeff and Kelly. They actually rolled the copper.
It was actually made by Steve, but okay.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, one of
Somebody
the ex-partners and
made this.
Yep.
Like the
Yep.
bar top is
It's copper, just like
it's badass. So the process of putting that stuff together.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, the stills. That was one of the first things we did. It's like we had this idea that we could make our own stills, and I've got a little bit of background. When I was a kid, I was kind of a hot rod guy, and so I had done some fender repair and that kind of thing. I had an inkling that maybe I could do this, and I happened to have some body tools, and so we bought some little pieces of copper and tried to make those bowls. What did I do with that bowl?
Oh yeah, there's a couple copper bowls that
Yeah.
they had.
I'll go grab it.
Yeah.
So we had this, piece of 2x2 sheet of copper, and I cut a circle out of it and spent a couple hours hammering up a piece of a log that I had
Yeah.
left over from a palm tree.
Yeah.
And just to see if I could make a curved shape. And sure enough, I could. This is kind of a facsimile of a still. And
Yeah.
it wasn't that hard. I was like, okay, I think we can do this.
Yeah, and that's the hardest part is to get the domes.
Yeah, to get the dome shape. I mean, you convert this flat sheet of copper into this
literally-
nice dome. And yeah, that took a couple hours. Yeah, it's very tedious. What I didn't realize is when you scale that up from, what is this, 14 inches to our stills are 29 inches or 30.
Oh,
They're big. And it's a much tougher process. And we're contemplating our next 500-gallon still, which is, I'm sure, going to be another order of magnitude more difficult.
What's this one?
So we have a 100-gallon still and a 50-gallon still.
And you're gonna
we
do-
really want to step it up because our mash tun is 500 gallons.
Okay.
It'd be nice to have that batch size kind of carry through.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, right now we do small batches, 220 gallons, and we distill that twice in
Yeah.
the stripping run. So it'd be nice to be able to just do one mash of 500 gallons, distill it down from 500 gallons, and then a spirit run after that. So that's where we're looking to go. But
Efficiency.
yeah, well,
Work smarter, not harder.
right. There's money. Every batch costs money, but what it really costs, in my view, is time.
Yeah.
Every barrel that you see sitting there is 35 or 40 hours of time. Somebody
Yeah.
sitting here doing the process,
Babysitting or
babysitting. Exactly.
Yeah. So 500, you're gonna do a 500 handmade.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Can you call it a plan if there's no timeline?
it's when the need arises and when we have enough enough income and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then what about the mash tun? You said too.
Yeah, so the mash tun started life in 1954. That's got a pretty cool little brass plaque underneath the insulation there.
Oh, wow.
From an outfit in New Jersey where it was built. And it weighs about 1,800 pounds. It's about a quarter of an inch thick all the way around.
Okay.
It's just a monster.
Yeah.
We don't really know for sure what it had been doing the prior 70 years,
Yeah.
but it was a mess. It looked horrible, and we spent a huge amount of time getting in there and cleaning it up. Polishing the stainless steel down to a food-grade cleanable surface.
Yeah.
Welding all the bits, welding a manway, and it's got an auger in there and a lauder screen, all the bits that make a mash tun.
Yeah.
But we spent several months doing that, and that cost us a couple of grand as opposed to going and buying one for $15,000.
Oh yeah.
We're self-financed. Every penny we save is a penny we don't have to pay to somebody else in profits later.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the idea.
that also means that we can do whatever we want. But everything else has a local. I mean, Papago, obviously. Camelback is our gin.
Yep.
Peralta is our bourbon and our moonshine, and that's out. Weaver's Needle is right out there off the trail.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So that's what we
Okay.
use. That's what Weaver's Needle on the label.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then we also have Fossil Creek, our smoke whiskey, and we're going to continue with those type of names.
Right.
Doing outdoorsy type of hiking, climbing places as the name.
Yeah. And Arizona too.
Absolutely.
Love, yeah.
Of course.
We're all about
Yeah.
local.
We have to.
This is truly handcrafted. spirits. I mean,
It
the
is.
still you guys made is handcrafted. Kelly was showing me what it's so that it's one bottle. When you guys bottle, it's one bottle.
One bottle at a time.
is one
Yeah,
bottle.
right.
And he has some contraption. It's on a 2x4 that has CO2 and a spring. I don't even know what the hell it is, but it was awesome.
It blows air.
It blows air to clean the bottle out before you put the
Right.
Yeah.
Blow the dust out of the bottle
have
and get a
dust or
CO2
whatever.
charge in there.
Yeah, but it was ingenious. What you guys were saying before we started recording is what you guys want to do with this. Like, not just like, hey, we're gonna have 3 things, we're gonna do that and just that. You guys are looking to change the game pretty much, right? I
Yeah.
mean, as far as
Arizona's the craft movement is in its infancy. I mean, there's been a few guys. The Thumb Butte guys have been around for 4+ years, and there's a Desert Diamond up in Kingman's been around for I think 8 years.
And I don't know, Arizona Distilling, maybe
4 years.
Really?
Something like that.
Okay.
I mean, I think they've been maybe around, but they haven't been so present.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
They're now starting to.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years. Yeah, they're
They're
not
doing.
even technically.
They're doing good things for us too.
Yeah.
I mean, for the spirits industry.
Right. I mean, at this point, it's a groundswell of interest that is just beginning to go. And you compare that to like Colorado or Washington, for example. And
Yeah.
there's
Colorado.
Colorado has like 80 craft distilleries.
Yeah.
And so the guys are starting to do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get a jump start on that concept, bringing you can buy Jack Daniels and whatever all crap all day and send your money to Tennessee, or more likely to Diageo, who owns these big brands.
Right.
Or you can buy local, and we're going to try some new and different things. This mesquite smoked whiskey, I don't think you'll find anything like it anywhere.
Wow.
Mesquite smoked whiskey.
It's
so it
similar.
exists,
Well,
but
it's very similar to the Del Box Dorado.
I completely disagree.
Okay. All right.
A, it's not a single malt, and B, the flavor and taste is just
Fair
radically
enough,
different. It's quite unique.
So
So
should I
we're
try
gonna
it?
go off. Yeah, absolutely, go for it.
And that's cask strength. So.
Yeah, 110 proof. We didn't bother to dilute that down for you.
No.
Oh yeah, thanks for telling me now. Jeez, what?
Yeah, he's drunk.
Hey, it's after 11 o'clock.
But yeah, so it's mesquite, and if you want, what I suggest doing is sample the one right next to it. That's the same. It's the same base, but it's oak instead of mesquite.
Okay.
Right?
You
And
actually
so-
told me to try this one last, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
first
it doesn't really
Hey
matter.
man, go for it. Have your dessert first.
Yeah. And so that's our newest release, and it's smoky. It kind of tastes like a campfire. It's really nice.
Ooh, wow, yeah, that's really good.
But it's
So-
the same base alcohol. It's just we use oak, mesquite in the one on the left, and oak on the one on the right. Otherwise it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Campfire. That was a great description to
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And with a little bit of ice or water, it completely the caramels and vanillas just go crazy.
Yeah.
And all of our stuff is unfiltered, partially out of the necessity of we don't have all that much money to play around with. And chill filtering, we'd have to chill 8 or 9 gallons of a liquid down to just about freezing and run it through a filter. But what that does is that it produces a lot of very interesting flavors because there's way more complexity. So it actually ends up doing really good things for us because people try it. Even our bourbon, our bourbon isn't the oldest thing in the world, but it got an 87 on tastings.com, and we were going up against 10-plus-year-old bourbons that they got 94, 95, which is really good. That was the height. It's out of 100, but to get an 87 on something that's not even a year old,
Yeah.
pretty damn good. And
excited
they gave
about
us a really they actually said. I think that at the end of it, I'll have to look it up, but they basically said like it's a very unique tasting whiskey,
Right.
a bourbon, excuse me.
This
So
one.
yeah. So you get some chocolate at the end, just a little bit. So yeah,
It's great balance too. Like it's great. It's not like you don't do the face like what the.
No bitter beer face.
you don't get your O face. Yeah. Well, and the thing that we really like about it is that none of our products fall flat, right? Sometimes you have these great like there's this $100 bottle of bourbon, and you get this great flavor, and it comes up, and then all of a sudden it just falls off a cliff, and you're like, where'd the flavor go?
Yeah.
You don't get that with any of our products.
It sits there.
It's full
right.
body.
Yeah.
So it makes really good drinking stuff.
Yeah, and just by itself too, I like that because like you get that flavor, and then you can wait a little bit till the next sip because you're still enjoying it.
Particularly the Fossil Creek whiskey. I love the finish on that one. It's
Yeah,
just, it just kind of wafts down your throat. It just kind of hangs with you, and man, I love the finish on that.
Yeah, that's going to be probably our mainstay. I was sampling yesterday at Sun Devil Liquor, and people like, even anyone. I'm like, this is a super easy drinking whiskey, and they're like, they give me a face like, really? Because even people who don't drink whiskeys, right?
Yeah.
And they'll try it and they're like, I'm gonna go get a bottle right now. I'm like, all right, sweet. I'm like, glad you like it, you know. And we're like, and the best part is it's made here because you know we're like, yeah, 4 miles away, and people are like, what? We're like, yeah, you know, you can come take a tour, come Friday evenings or Saturdays, and they're like, you can take a tour. I'm like, yeah. So we're one of 2 distilleries in the valley that makes all of our own products from scratch.
Okay. Yeah.
So you know, we're very proud of that.
Whether we're intending to sell it or not, we taste it in the tasting room, and so people drink a lot of spirits just like that out of our tasting cup. They'll just sip it a little bit, and you know, we tell people because not everybody drinks straight spirits. We have to educate them. Small sips. Don't just throw it back. You're not going to taste anything, right?
Yeah.
So we educate a lot of people, and as a result of that, we get a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Right. And people will come in, and if you're drinking like that, you don't want a sharp bite to the spirit. You want it to be very smooth and easy drinking. And so we crafted everything to be drinkable straight or perhaps on the rocks.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of feedback like, yeah, this is so smooth. I really love it. But the gin, it's kind of the case in point here that when you make a gin that tastes just terrific, just sipping, it doesn't mix very well. It doesn't have enough pop, doesn't have enough going on.
Interesting.
And it took us a few batches to figure that out.
To
So we
get
kind
that
of
balance?
modified a recipe to amp up the botanicals a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still got the smooth characteristic, but it's got more kick to it. So now it shines through in a cocktail. So we got to think about, you know, we see people drinking at the tasting room all the time. They're drinking shots, great. But that's not what people do. People drink
That's a good
cocktails.
point.
Yeah.
Some people, I mean, whiskey, sure.
Yeah.
But the rest of the spirits, we had to modify kind of what we thought was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it took us a while to get that feedback. That's one of the reasons we still self-distribute. Because I have all these conversations with bar owners and retailers and stuff like that. And a lot of feedback from them helps us stay pointed in the right direction as we're working to improve our product line.
We have people who come in and say, I don't like rum, I don't like gin, I don't like vodka. And we say, just try it, right?
Yeah.
Be adventurous. That's,
be adventurous.
Seriously, like
right.
I say
Come on
that,
in.
you know, we give a tour and we're like, hey, you guys want to try chocolate malts? And they're like, and I'm like, just try it. And they're like, okay. And we had a guy actually walk out with a shot glass of them because he was like, can I get some of those chocolate malts to go? I'm like, sure, whatever.
You gave him a shot glass of
Just a
unmilled
shot.
malt?
He wanted it. He really liked it. So, but anyway, it's usually the ones who walk in and say, I don't like rum, who walk out with a bottle of our rum because it's just, it converts them. You know, people aren't used to drinking things straight. And so it's cool to see people come in and be like, oh, I get it. You know, when people walk in, and if they don't walk out drinking our spirits, at least they know how spirits are made, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what we're here to do.
So you guys have got some exposure too. So I was taking pictures, and they have a bottle up on the shelf there, autographed, and I said, "Who autographed that bottle of Papago rum?" Real quick though, the rum, straight up, that's really good.
Yeah,
Usually, for me, rum is too overly sweet. I'm not a huge sweet, and that one, and it even has a great finish too. Like it's like you were talking about, like it just sits there. And I like
Yeah, the kind of finish you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it explodes in your mouth.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
but-
yeah. The mouth explosion. That's my favorite part. Yeah.
Sorry, this is gonna get an E.
It's getting real weird. Yeah. But the bottle.
Corey McCloskey. Yep.
Corey McCloskey.
Came
Yes.
in. It was for the Chandler Craft Spirits Festival.
Right. So the gal that was promoting that somehow coordinated with Channel 10, Corey McCloskey, to come in to see us. And so 8:05 rolls around, and the cameras start rolling, and bang, he's on it. And I'm kind of freaking out, and we're all kind of a little nervous. You can't look bad in front of this guy.
Yeah.
He's
It was just
awesome.
so fun.
Yeah.
He was super impressed.
True
with him.
professional. I mean,
True,
like,
absolute true professional.
And I think Corey actually said something that we have since picked up on. It was grain to good.
Yeah.
Grain to
He
good.
just makes up
Grain
this
to good. He just
catchphrase.
made it up. We're like, that's brilliant.
It's genius.
Because there's grain to bottle, right?
Yeah.
Grain to bottle or grain to glass.
Yeah.
And grain to good. It's like, well, that sounds good too. So
to
we
good.
started kind of
New
using
catchphrase.
that.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Nice.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, he signed a bottle for us, and we posted proudly.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, and that was when the rum was first released. We're super proud of it. It's first released. Take each of our bottles. The more people that have us, the easier it is for all of you to sell it. So one of the first people to pick us up has been the Ivy in Chandler, and they're awesome.
Okay.
Brandon and Chris, and I mean they make great cocktails and great Greek food. Yeah, the cameraman's like,
Yeah.
oh, you
there
should
you
go.
go.
They have
That's
they
cool
have
place.
they have a gin-based cocktail called the Hops of Juniper, where they literally it's gin with a couple other things. They top it with IPA. And it's crazy because you get the floralness from the gin, and then at the end you get the bitterness from the hops, and it's awesome.
Interesting.
Building a groundswell of interest in the concept of craft spirits, local craft spirits.
The
That's
local
a
craft
huge
spirits,
step.
yeah.
I think we're super excited about finally getting some momentum in that direction.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
So
Absolutely. And this vodka you were just talking about, fantastic as well. It's a lot of vodkas are just like burn.
Yeah,
right? It's
exactly.
this actually has really good flavor to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's 50% corn and 50% wheat, and for some reason, people, I don't know what it is. It comes off tasting like a tequila, almost.
We get that.
At the start, the beginning, it does.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but it's once again, it's unfiltered. So when people say, "Why, why you over Grey Goose?" and well, Grey Goose doesn't taste like anything, and I think it's because it is filtered, and it's pretty smooth, right? But people who come in who really like vodka, they're like, "Man, this is a good." If you like vodka, you like our vodka. If you don't like vodka, man. If you like rum, you like our rum, and even people who don't. So it's cool to see the people, when people who come in who say, I am this type of person, that's when my ears perk up. I'm like, they drink it. I'm like, what do you think? And really trying to understand. Because same with our bourbon. Our bourbon's a little bit on the young side. We get that from some of the people who drink like 15-year-old bourbon. But 90% of the population really likes it. So, but we know, we pick up on the things that we need to improve on, and we're only a year old. So of course, we know what we have to improve on.
Yeah.
But it's still really cool to see people, really getting it and being like, I guess I don't have to go elsewhere to get it. We have about 4 or 5 things that we have ideas for. We've got more ideas than that. We've got about 3 that are implemented.
All right.
But yeah, so like a barrel rested gin. We've got our mesquite smoked Fossil Creek as opposed to the oak one.
That you've tasted.
Yep.
We want to do a red, white, and blue corn whiskey. We've got there's even you can do spirits with hops. So there's all sorts of things we want to do. And so with the Explorers Club, the idea is that if people buy in, they're guaranteed a bottle, and eventually, let's say we get 50, 60, 70 people to join. They may be the only people that get a bottle because you basically pay in advance for your share.
Okay.
And the idea is to have it so that no one else outside of that group gets it. We have enough. Let's say we produce 90 bottles out of a barrel.
Yeah.
They will be the only ones to get it. Just like a lot of the other stuff we've been doing, it's something where we, it's going to be kind of an uphill battle because people aren't used to that, right? They may be used to having limited releases for beers, but doing that for spirits is especially not in the state. We don't know of anyone else who's doing that, and even in the country, I'm sure there are places that do it. You just don't hear about them yet.
Right.
So we want to bring that to the valley because there's no reason we, every quarter we should, so once every quarter we just have to have something going where, instead of making a bourbon or a whiskey, all right, let's do a red, white, and blue corn.
Do something fun and interesting.
All right, we just do it once. We let the barrel sit there. We forget about it. A year and a half later, it's ready.
Yeah.
And so it's just something we can have fun. And if it goes well, maybe we turn it into a regular thing.
And you guys also do what is it? Day at the Distillery?
Day at the
Day at the
Distillery.
distillery.
Wanna talk
Sure.
about
Yeah. So we have a program. We call it an educational program, but the idea is, what do we charge? $150? $150. So you come in and
round of
spend
golf.
a whole day.
Seriously, that's what someone's like. I could play a round of golf, or I could come
That's
here
right,
and learn.
that's
We're
right.
like, that's a
Yeah.
good way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's a full day in the distillery. We start about 7 and get done at 5 or 5:30, and we'll do a mash run. So it's it's essentially the beer making process of it. We'll take the grains and steep them in water and do the conversion from grains to sugary wort that eventually ferments into the distiller's beer.
Okay.
So that's the bulk of the work. But then around 11 o'clock, we'll fire up the still, and we'll do a spirit run, also typically a whiskey or bourbon, so that basically it's a hands-on day where you get to see both ends of the process and taste spirit coming off the still and see the result of a mash run. And you really get your hands dirty. It depends on who shows up. Sometimes there's guys that have had some experience in home brewing and they kind of know what to do, and I mostly stand around and tell them what to do.
Yeah, nice.
And some days there's guys that stand around and watch me work.
But
So it's as hands-on as you like it to
Yeah,
be.
but we were gonna. It's something where we have to mash anyway, so
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just educating people. And we actually last night the guy who did the first one came back in, and he's been in 3 or 4 times since.
Right.
And he's super proud and like, I helped make the gin, right?
Yeah.
There was a batch 3 of our gin, Chris Stees, and he was just like, and so he feels a part of the distillery.
Yeah.
And that's super cool.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see people get that. And I mean, there's also the Distilling Nation. It's a podcast there's a gentleman out of Seattle that's actually making, I think, grappa and ouzo or something. And anyway, and it sounds interesting. I honestly can't remember the guy's name. He's foreign, and it's anyway, a lot of vowels and stuff. But so he said, he's like, it was his like 2-year anniversary, and the one thing that he said that I was like, yep, it doesn't matter how much you have in the back. If you're not selling it, it doesn't matter. You can have 500 gallons sitting there in storage, ready in bottles, ready to go. But if you don't have a market, it doesn't matter. So we walk in, and one of the first things that people ask, it's not, let me try your spirits. It's, what's your story? So I'm like, guys, come in, take a tour. It'll help
Learn
make a
about
better
the
story,
process.
because we don't we don't want our spirits to sit on the shelf. We don't want to be like, kind of, taking wringing our hands together and saying, oh, we duped them. No, we want them to sell.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be that stuff that sits on a shelf.
Yeah.
So, we really do have a vested interest in selling it.
Yeah.
The water here is actually really good for spirits in Tempe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of minerals, and it's hard, right? It's hard water.
Yeah.
It's not good for drinking, but it's great for spirits. That's why Tennessee and Kentucky are known for having good bourbons and whiskeys and stuff, because they have limestone, and the limestone deposits a lot of minerals in the water, and so they don't really have to filter it. They just bring it through. It's going to do a lot more interesting things to your spirits.
Okay.
And so the only thing that we have to filter out is chlorine. And so to do that, I think it's a charcoal filter. Is that right?
Yep, we run it through a charcoal filter.
That's it.
Okay.
And it sometimes comes up in tours, sometimes doesn't. But anyway, that's something that's actually really good about this area. I just thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
Something that doesn't always come up.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we get to use local water. Now, beer brewers are almost always using reverse osmosis, super pure water.
Yeah.
And then they actually add what they call beer salts.
Yeah.
Depending on the type of beer they're making, they're mimicking the water of the region of the beer that originally was created in.
Oh, interesting.
So you find different beer styles happen in different parts of England or whatever you're talking about. It's all dependent on the water.
Yeah.
As distillers, we just kind of naturally have a pretty good water source. It actually could afford to be a little bit harder still, but it works quite well as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a lucky happenstance for us. To not have to go through that whole additional process.
If you come to a distillery and take a tour, and they give you a really good tour, you'll understand how beer and spirits are made, because the first 3 of the 4 major steps. So there's milling, there's mashing, there's fermenting, and then there's distilling.
Yeah.
The first 3 of those, up to the fermentation, is the same as brewing. It's just our formulas. You wouldn't want to drink the beer that we made because it's made to be drank after it's been distilled.
Yeah.
Right.
But same process. We do the same thing. In fact, all of the the 2-row and everything that we get, it's the same stuff that you'll see at breweries.
Yeah.
So it's so it's pretty cool, because I tell people, I'm like, all right, up to this point, we're still the same thing as brewers. We're still doing the same thing, and then I'm like, okay, we're moving over to the still. We have distillers beer, and brewers would have brewers beer, and this was where they could dry hop or do whatever, or bottle cask condition or whatever, but they'd be done.
Yeah.
And we keep going.
Yeah.
So it's you're really getting 2 for 1.
Yeah.
So come visit us. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, I didn't know. What I like to tell people is, we don't necessarily want you to come out of here drinking our spirits. Well, okay, we do. Yeah. But if you don't, it's fine. Everyone has a different price point and stuff. But we want you to walk out with an understanding of how spirits are made.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't get. I've been to distilleries where you walk in and there's a glass wall and you look out at their distillery, but you don't go in and take.
You don't know what's going on.
Right. They'll say, oh, there's the still, there's the mash tun, and since Jeff and Kelly actually made the stills, right? If something goes wrong, we know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I try to say is, we can come off as snooty or hoity-toity because we make, like I said, okay, we make our own stuff from scratch, and not everyone does that. Fine. If you hate me because I said that, that's fine. But I will say that means that there are way more steps in the process that we can make mistakes. Implied in all that is there's a lot of ways to mess up, and we really have to work to not fall into those traps.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of our stuff we want to have a local flair. The only grain that we can source here consistently throughout the year is our wheat.
Okay.
So the wheat that we use is from a co-op in Casa Grande, but everything else is not. So we have to be careful and say we use local products when possible. But at the end of the day, it's at least made in our distillery here. Right. So that's the closest we can get. But we want the bottles to have a local flair, so that it reminds you of the desert. It reminds you of things around in and around the state, so that when you walk around, you can take and be like, oh hey, oh yeah, Papago, yeah, that's right near us, or yeah, I've seen Weaver's Needle. We want people to recognize it.
There's the Peralta Trailhead. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We don't know what we're gonna do. I'm not sure what we'll call the rye.
Yeah, we gotta come up with a new one.
Yeah, exactly. But Fossil Springs is definitely, I think, the most classy.
Fossil Creek.
What did I say? Fossil Creek. Fossil Springs. Yeah, we're when you get our spirits, tag us. We want to see what you're drinking. We want to see where you're drinking. If you guys want to see us in bars and restaurants, we are the ones doing. There are 3 of us.
Okay.
We are all the ones doing the sales. We have a spreadsheet with probably 80 or 90 restaurants on it at this point, and retailers.
Ask your bartender.
Yeah, that's the best thing you do. Ask your bartender, or say, hey, I've got this great place, and I really want to see you guys.
Yeah.
That helps.
Very nice.
Come see us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Eric.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
Tap that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
cool.
your guys' support too. You know, I mean, it's a real tough job coming in trying all this
Brutal,
spirits. Yeah, it is.
Private tour, private tasting.
Yeah, but no, guys, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If so, do us a favor, subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Give us a rating and review if you're feeling up to it. Also subscribe on YouTube. We've been putting out a lot of video content, so you don't want to miss out on any of that. Video content created by Aaron Marcus from 8 a.m. Films. Awesome videographer, great teammate. Big shout out. Check him out at 8 a.m. Films on Instagram. Always remember, stay awesome.